Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody is doing well on this slightly sunny, slightly rainy Saturday afternoon. But we are feeling okay. We are feeling okay. Things are doing okay. Got a few topics to discuss this afternoon. And as the title suggests, there we've got KOBBIE Mainu as the header. And a few things with this because it's basically going to be a stark reminder to the club that what they want to do, or what Eric Ten Hag wants to do with this squad, they've got to still continue to be active in the market. So it's more, we are incentivizing more for, thought that was a little wet there. We are incentivizing more for the Sofian Amrabat signing to happen as a guarantee. So, well, hopefully, this is a bit more of like a kick up the backside for the club, just to basically double down that the Amrabat signing needs to happen. It's not as a luxury or an extra. No, it's a must need to do signing. Among other things that we'll be discussing, Van der Beek has a loan offer supposedly from Real Sociedad. We'll be looking into that and what that could entail. We've got Fred, who is continuing to discuss terms and figure out what best way there is to go forward with Turkish clubs, most notably Galatasaray. And deal or no deal for Harry Maguire? Well, supposedly the club of Manchester United have said, no deal for you, West Ham, no deal for you. £20 million bid rejected. And dependent on what people in the chat discuss may dictate what the final point or discussing point of the show will be. So let's not waste any more time. Before I do jump into things, make sure you are liking, subscribing, all of that jazz, sharing the content around, and leaving your thoughts and feelings in reflections to the topics that we discuss in these shows. So this might not be as long as normal shows, about an hour long. This might get wrapped up in sooner time or sooner fashion, but let's see how things go. Let's just see how things go. As this is not a profession for me. This is just a hobby. I do this because I like to do it, and I feel like it's something I want to do. I want to talk about. I want to talk about things in football. I want to talk about football all day, every day, until the universe ends. So let's bring that to life. But anyways, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump straight into things. So KOBBIE Mainu, shock horror. The injury news that looked like it wasn't going to be a serious one, as I suggested yesterday's video, that KOBBIE Mainu was not going to be out for very long, and he is also named in the squad to play against Borussia Dortmund. Well, medical diagnostics have come out and have said, nah, he's probably going to be out for a couple of months at least. Oh, right. Okay, cool. So that just basically throws the spanner in the works for what we were hoping KOBBIE Mainu would be able to do, which was to try and lodge a spot in the first team or the starting 11 against Wolverhampton Wanderers in about 2 weeks. Well, 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. To be honest, I don't know. Let's have a quick glance at the calendar. How close are we? So obviously the Dortmund game is happening this weekend. We're playing against Lens and Athletic Bilbao next weekend, and then the following weekend, I believe, is when we kick off this new season, about 12th or 13th. But whatever day it is, we're closing in on the new season, so let's not beat around the bush with any important business dealings that we need to do in Manchester United and Murto Madness. But KOBBIE Mainu, it's tragic. It's absolutely tragic for KOBBIE. 100% is tragic. I mean, the guy is on the cusp of really trying to cement himself a first team place by just constantly impressing with every game he plays, and to literally not make it past, say, like the 5th or 6th minute in a game against Real Madrid to succumb to an ankle injury is absolute tragedy of the highest degree for a young guy that's trying to work his way into a first team spot, but also into the manager's plans. But now that momentum is hit a massive stumbling block. So the same thing that we had towards the end of last season, where he was starting to impress enough to potentially get some games at the tail end of last season, it's now happened again before the season's even started. So whether that's something we should be a little bit concerned about or perhaps a little bit worried about in like moving forward in the coming years for Kobbie Mainoo, that he might actually be one of those injury prone players, I'm not too sure, but I'm hoping that this doesn't become a theme for Kobbie Mainoo, because for a guy that's got bags of talent and huge potential to be one of he could, if everything goes well, could end up becoming probably one of the best midfielders on the planet. Right? He's got the makings to do that. He's got the chance and potential to do that. But injuries, one of the biggest, probably one of the biggest suspects behind failed careers for promising players, tends to be injury related, as opposed to perhaps people chasing money or people, you know, making bad decisions in their footballing careers. But unfortunately, it's such a sad situation for Kobbie Mainoo, especially that the fact it's happened during pre-season and he's going to be set on the sidelines for a couple of months, which is big problems, big problems, especially for an injury like that at the time it is not good. It's not good at all. But yes, hopefully that pushes the incentive to signing Sofian Amrabat right up to literally the same sort of par as signing Rasmus Højlund. If we can do that, the Sofian Amrabat thing as well. By the way, I've seen that someone, I think it's Jackson on Twitter, someone called Jackson, saying, "Oh well, Sofian Amrabat, you know, we're looking at about £50 million for him. That's probably what they're going to ask for." Well, we've had quoted for a very long time a very very cheap pricing, right? And now whether Fiorentina have decided, well, actually, let's look on YouTube and let's see what everyone's saying, and seeing everyone say, "Oh, that's really cheap," then Fiorentina looking at themselves go, "Wow, okay, then let's double his pricing." I mean, I don't want to put money on that. I don't want to put money on that being the case. I'm hoping that's not the case, that they're not actually looking through social medias and seeing people saying, "Oh, Sofian Amrabat, what a cheap player that is," and thinking, whoa, take him off the market for a second. You know, if we want to sell Sofian Amrabat, you're going to have to pay us 50 million. Well, sick. Bloody sick. Otherwise, we might as well go start negotiating for Romeo Lavia, which is not great. If we're wanting to talk about cheap options or sell to buy, or it's just more of a kick up the backside that Man United need to sell quicker. Hurry up. Hurry the goddamn hell up. It's like Dean Henderson. Like, God, we need to sell him. Got to sell him. Get him out the club. Get him out of the club. I know there's talks continuing with Zion Suzuki. Apparently, even though Suzuki has said no to the prospect of joining Manchester United, supposedly, talks are going to continue to try and convince the player to change his mind, I guess. So if that's going to be the case, then that would probably solve the Dean Henderson situation immediately. But Manchester United also now sort of, I'd say, mutually agreeing almost to say, well, cool, yeah, cool. I'm sure we can let him go out for on a season-long loan again. And it's just like, there's more problems to deal with next season or next window. There's problems. Why are we creating problems? Stop creating problems. If this player's not going to have a future, sell him. Get rid of him. Stop wasting time and energy on things that you don't need to keep screwing yourself over with. And seriously, it's like if a player goes on loan, right? If they have a terrible season, but their demands on wages either stays the same or goes up, and they becoming increasingly more difficult to deal with, that's just going to pose only problems for us in the future. So if they go out on loan, have a bad season, everyone's like, nah, he's not worth that much. But then Dean Henderson says, well, I want at least 200k a week wherever it is I go. What's to stop him saying that? He could legitimately turn around tomorrow and say, well, actually, I want my next contract, wherever it be, about 200k. So then no one's going to be able to want to buy him if someone's going to earn 200k and he's not worth it. So problems start to entail if you keep holding on to players by loaning them out every season because it's too difficult to sell them. Just get the fucking hell on with it and sell them. Hurry up. Take a cut price if you have to. This is actually less about money than it is about anything else now. This is less about money. Absolutely, it's less about money because these players have no future. So it's like, well, we're not a selling club anyway. So it's like, why do we start to care much more about, how much are we going to protect a player's value by if we're barely going to sell them? I mean, you might as well consider it that this club never sells players unless someone is stupid enough to bid a high enough pricing for players. I mean, it is what it is, I guess. I guess we just sit back and say, well, club politics, the only way you leave Man United is when your contract expires, or if you're an academy prospect and we sell you onto a club for a fat sell-on clause. It doesn't bode well for players that we've already got at our club that we've signed, have not worked out, and now we can't get rid of them. Problems, and more problems. Good job, Manchester United. Anyways, we'll jump on to Van der Beek now. A loan deal has presented itself, a loan offer. This has been spoken about by Not Gip. What kind of a name is that? Yeah, no, I don't understand what that is at all whatsoever. But also Fabrizio Romano, a much more well-sourced or well-briefed journalist, has said along the same lines that Real Sociedad are actively working on a deal to sign Donny van der Beek on loan. I suppose there is a question that we should pose, a question. Who would you rather stay and play a role in Manchester United's midfield? And I've seen this become a bit of a discussion, among other things, in the United fan base with certain individuals. Other individuals, perhaps they're not really too bothered by this, or perhaps they have set thoughts and feelings about the subject. But I suppose one of the things that that we're faced with is maybe we should associate a more cutthroat nature with the situation that we're faced with here. And one of the names I want to compare what we do with Donny van der Beek to is a player perhaps I think quite a lot of people would not really have them down in their lists of players to get rid of. And that player is Christian Eriksen. Who would you rather keep? Who is going to be more practical for Manchester United and is more likely to deliver better performances on a more consistent basis for Manchester United? Donny van der Beek, who some people classify as injury prone, even though technically he's not actually injury prone. It's just every time he's been injured by another player. Or a Christian Eriksen, who is pretty much lost any and all pace that he has. Looks like he's, succumbing to the elements of opposition midfields, and is looking to be a little less impressive with every time we seemingly see him play. What is people's choices between these two players? Are you thinking more Donny van der Beek should go to look for another club, or should we say, well, Christian Eriksen is not going to offer or wouldn't offer us, our midfield, the same amount that Donny van der Beek would, and that we should see fit to actually, if the offer presents itself, letting Christian Eriksen go. Because I'll tell you what, I mean, Christian Eriksen, he's essentially now on the wrong side of 30, right? We've seen it last season where there's certain games where the guy looked like he didn't have the energy to keep going for 70 minutes or longer. And that, I think, because now we're going into another season, and if the situation for Kobbie Mainoo isn't a bit of a wake-up call or a bit of a concern, that Christian Eriksen could have a similar story happen to him this coming season. I think Donny van der Beek is going to be fitter than Christian Eriksen. He's going to offer more on a football pitch that on average than Christian Eriksen. He can play for 90 minutes, Donny van der Beek, for strenuous. He can bear more strenuous game time, whereas Christian Eriksen, you've got to manage the minutes a whole lot more, way more, just to keep him fit, to keep him playing, to keep him starting. And we can't really afford to do that in a increasingly competitive league like the Premier League, because otherwise we are making, unless Christian Eriksen is guaranteed to be a bench player next season, and that he puts in, like, he runs like a headless chicken, every single time he comes off the bench, then maybe there is an option there. But even with Donny van der Beek, I mean, the guy, essentially he plays, or what the way he's been playing is almost like depth to Bruno Fernandes. And in terms of how things have gone, I'm pretty sure Donny van der Beek played against Real Madrid. I'm sure he did. But if we've got Van der Beek as depth for Bruno, then I suppose we don't really need to have this sort of a conversation. But if we are talking about Donny van der Beek or Christian Eriksen, the way I'm leaning here is more towards Donny van der Beek getting the position or the spot in the team instead of Christian Eriksen for me. So I don't know what anyone else thinks there. So share your thoughts and feelings about the matter in the comment section below, or in the chat if you do choose to pop in. But as far as a loan deal goes, I think there's an element to it where it's just like, I think the club don't quite know what they want to do with Donny van der Beek. I don't think they have any idea. I think Ten Hag low-key wants to use him big time. He wants to use him big time. But with the way the squad is and everything, it's just like he knows what Donny wants. But I think he knows he can't give him exactly what he wants. And it's a little bit frustrating. It is a little bit frustrating, but we'll have to see what happens with the situation. Again, it's another one of those things. Look, if Donny says he wants to leave, then we shouldn't waste any time with this. I think we should just say, look, let him go, sell him, take the money and run, basically, if that's what he really wants. Like, don't hold on to a player who wants first team football, but then keep loaning him out and in hope that it's enough to essentially tick his boxes. Supposedly, not Gip's report on the Van der Beek loan is including an option to buy, which, make of that what you will. Anyways, we'll move on to Fred. This subject or this topic is going to be a little bit more brief, I guess, unless I find a way to absolutely just go rambling on and on with this. But Fred is continuing to negotiate a deal with Galatasaray with the hope that they can reach the agreement within the next few days. So it's another update from Fabrizio Romano here, and basically has said what I think everyone knows is going on, the transfer for Fred is basically sat at a point, at a moment in time that I think everyone sort of knows that we're at right now. Um, so yeah, to be honest, Fred to Galatasaray, I know they've been lowballing offers for a long time now. Um, and I know for a fact that Manchester United will have reduced the asking price from about 20 million, because I think based off the offers that they're getting, I would probably suggest or suppose maybe Manchester United have actually received a couple of other bids around, or received proposals at a similar value from other clubs as well, or that's what's been communicated to them as to what the clubs are expressing their deemed valuation on Fred is. Henceforth, that's probably stirred Manchester United to actually react to that by lowering the asking price for Fred. So it's interesting. It is interesting to see, but I suppose the biggest question to ask as regards to this whole situation is how much are we going to get from Fred? We can ask the question how much everyone thinks we should sell Fred for, but how much do you think the club is actually going to take um, for Fred in a transfer to Galatasaray, if it should be the case that he does go to Galatasaray, because don't forget there's still other alternative options for him. He could go to other clubs. There's, I think Fulham might still be on the table. I don't know how far along they are with talks on that side of things, but I think Fulham probably the club that most likely going to offer the most or the biggest transfer fee. I think it's just more the case if they will actually entertain the offer, because if the biggest offer is not the bestest offer that they could get for Fred, that's probably going to be that Manchester United, if the desire is to sell Fred, they will just sell him at what the best offer that comes in, regardless of what whether it matches asking price or not. Um, so I think that's probably going to be the case scenario, though, scenario that we're going to be faced with as far as the Fred transfer is concerned. But I suppose as I've said already, the big question is going to be how much money are we actually going to get for Fred? As far as we can speculate, 20, 30 million pounds. As much as we want to say that that's how much we want to get, I don't think it's going to happen. We'll probably receive somewhere around the just over 10 million pounds price mark, I guess. It'll probably fit within might categorically fit into the sort of bid, the transfer fee realms for Turkish clubs, because I know they don't usually spend big at all on player signing. So transfer fees, as far as they're concerned, if they're dealing around the £10 million echelons, then that's well within the target range for Turkish clubs. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Small update regarding the Rasmus Højlund deal, regarding what reported here by Alfredo Badula. Supposedly, Atalanta want 68 to 70 million euros plus a further 5 million euros in add-ons. However, the feeling is that the same full package with a bit less upfront could work. So I think we are basically on the done deal for Rasmus Højlund is essentially on the horizon. So I think we can rest a little bit more easily with Rasmus Højlund, unless Manchester United get to this sort of 99% completion, and then it turns out to be a bit like the Windows error that you get when your program is 99% downloaded, and it comes out saying, "Oh, download failed because of unstated error." Try Windows troubleshoot, which will give you no diagnostics as to what the problem is, as to why you can't download this product or application. Same thing maybe if if we want to deal in miseries, that perhaps we sit at 99% transfer completion or deal completion with Rasmus Højlund, and it just doesn't happen for another half a month or so. I mean, God forbid that ever happened, but I suppose if the talk of what's going on is that everyone's trying to speed up and push harder for actually getting deals done. That the Rasmus Højlund deal should be wrapped up very, very, very soon. People talking about Mason Greenwood as well, but not in the show. Let's talk about Maguire. Let's talk about Maguire. Let's go on to the next point. Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire. So, as we know, market or the verbal market value from Manchester United is £50 million for Harry Maguire. Take it or leave it. But we also know that they think that's very audacious. That's not going to happen. So maybe about a £35 million bid, we can entertain that sort of offer. Cool. Happy days. Well, we can entertain that sort of offer. West Ham have just taken £105 million for Declan Rice, and they want to lowball offers. And £20 million is what they bid for Harry Maguire. Now, if I'm in charge of the sporting side of things at Manchester United or transfers, I'm accepting whatever bid it is that comes in, because I don't care. I want Harry Maguire out of the club. 20 million you could use as valuable cash, very, very valuable cash, even if it's not the max that people can say, oh, we can get more. We could get more. I mean, Manchester United think they can get more. Henceforth, they've rejected. So it's no deal for you, West Ham. No deal whatsoever. Going to have to up the bids. The Hammers will have to hammer up the bids. And whether they will do that, I don't think they are too interested with entertaining potential bids exceeding that of the £20 million price mark, although they might be tempted to test the waters, considering Maguire is a player that David Moyes likes and Harry Maguire has some managers that he is very much sought after by. So whether we actually sell Maguire this transfer window, there's quite a stark possibility that it won't happen, that we won't actually sell Harry Maguire, that we can't sell Harry Maguire. Whatever it is that we do, at the end of the day, Harry Maguire has needed to leave this club for a very, very long time. For a very, very long time. And now is the perfect opportunity to sell him, where there are actual bids going in. There are people, there are people interested. They want to, they do want to sign Harry Maguire. But as far as pricing goes and the player valuation, market values, and whatnot, it's whether there's going to be the case that everyone's going to have a gap in valuation, and then that further provokes United to lower their asking price for Harry Maguire, like what's happening with Fred. I think that's quite a big possibility to happening. Maybe Harry Maguire could end up going for 25 million, although I don't think that's going to be the case, because this club will be stubborn with someone like Harry Maguire. Why? Why, I hear you ask? Why would they be stubborn with Maguire? Because they spent £80 million on him. They spent £80 million on him. They are going to milk as much money on the sale side of things as they possibly can. Or they do what every stupid CEO or director of football does, and let the contract run down and let them go for free. Makes no sense. Literally makes no sense whatsoever. So it is what it is. Harry Maguire, no deal for West Ham. I'm interested to see with West Ham what they opt to do with Scott McTominay, because I know that they're also interested in him. Now, United have stuck a £40 million asking price on him, although there's also another following report that stated 50 million. Now I am really scratching my head, because that doesn't really make too much sense. Like, why is the price for Scott McTominay creeping up? If anything, it should be creeping down. It's like what everyone else at Manchester United should be doing that's on the sale list or the transfer list. The asking prices should be coming down to invoke further interest, to invoke more competition between clubs. Because when you get more clubs to sit at the table, the more clubs that start to bid, you can start to get a little bidding war. So they start trying to inch each other's bid in front of the other. Um, and happy days, you'll get, you will eventually end up getting or as close as you can to getting a maxed out, bid or transfer value if you invoke a bidding war, despite the player not being very favourable among other clubs, as long as you're actually publicly stating what the live asking price is, and that everyone knows that, okay, well, Scott McTominay was priced at about 40 million, but now they have lowered the asking price to about 35. Okay, that's sort of within the bidding range. That's it. We're getting close to it. If they lower it to 30 million, maybe going from one interested club to about 3 or 4 interested clubs, they all start bidding at 30 million pounds, but they might start sort of adding a few sweeteners to say, well, you got a good bid from that club, but we can go slightly better. So a little bit of a bidding war. As far as what we do with other players on the selling front, obviously we know Dean Henderson. It's just a case that we've just got to sell him because the guy does not want to be here. We know this for a fact. I think Scott McTominay, Maguire, players like that, they want to be here because, I mean, everywhere else, it's going anywhere else other than United. They know full well that when they leave United, it's not going to be another top level club for them. Apparently, there was a report talking about Maguire's side of the deal. He didn't rate West Ham. He said, "Look, West Ham are not a big enough club. I want a club that's bigger." I mean, Harry, you shouldn't be at this level anyway. Hull City was your perfect level. You joined Leicester City, had a good season with them, and for some reason, our stupid dumbass board decided to stick 80 million on you. Ever since then, you got hand given captaincy by someone who was not very clued into football, and ever since then, you've actually somewhat acted like an entitled brat. He has. Think about it. He has acted like an entitled brat. He's not been great, like openly grateful for what he has been given at United. He certainly hasn't looked like he's been doing everything, absolutely everything, to warrant captaincy, to warrant starting positions, because we were screaming about it under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Harry Maguire is not playing well, but he will still get selected. It's the same story with a lot of other players in the squad. These players don't play well. They'll still get selected. Perfect case in point, Fred and Scott McTominay. They never played well. Never. Ever. Approximately 0 games were because they played that well together with Harry Maguire and, I guess, Victor Lindelof sat in behind them. They never played well. But some people say, well, they did well in training. I don't think they did. I think that was the problem at United, is that you didn't actually have to do well in training to get starting places. I thought that there was way better players in training than Fred and Scott McTominay during those years, but for some reason would never see a minute of play time. It wouldn't make any sense. It really didn't make any sense. There's club politics that really stank out the gaff. Which is it's never great to see, but thankfully we're sort of getting into a time at the club where the manager has decided that there's no easy life being a Manchester United player, and that's, I think, essentially what it should be. That's how it should be at a club like Manchester United. There should be no opportunity to kick your feet up and relax and chill and enjoy your wages, regardless of what happens, whether you go home and away, get beaten or embarrassed. And basically, what we've had is so much just incompetency at the club that it's like failure was rewarded, but now it feels like we're sort of we're trying to push against the tide and do the opposite. Look, success will be rewarded, failure will be punished. Although against what people think or what people say, it's probably not going to be done at the same sort of speed or cutthroat nature perhaps as some fans want it to be. It's like the same fans that wanted the entire starting 11 dropped after losing 7-0 to Liverpool. Well, there is an element of a cutthroat nature at the club, but people don't want to be trying to set an example by costing us more dearly in every other department or aspect of the season. Like it's not like a Manchester City where the whole bench or whoever's on the bench is as good, if not like if there's no drop off, right? There's not really any drop offs between starting and the bench. So essentially, like Manchester City, if they disgraced themselves, Pep Guardiola could afford to drop everybody in the team and field a starting 11 the next week with none of last team's 11, like last weekend's 11, and still actually put up a really decent performance and potentially win or beat most of the teams in the league. We don't have that. We don't have that. Essentially, past the starting 11, you've got the equivalent of half of your team being the under 21s, and then a couple of more senior players dotted around here and there, which essentially are allocated deadwood. So it's not great. It really, really, really isn't great. It's really not great whatsoever. So it's an element to it where it's like Ten Hag wants to be absolutely brutally ruthless. He does. He really wants to do it. If it was like if he could have everything his way, guys like Harry Maguire would be out of this club. Scott McTominay would have been out of this club probably the same day he walked in. But he knows he can't have everything his way at United. He knows what the club politics are like. So he's doing it everything, with a bit less of a cancel me factor, shall we call it? Let's call it the cancel me factor. Ten Hag doesn't want to have the cancel me factor by basically pulling out firearms and just shooting everything down, right? He doesn't want to do that. He wants to do everything sort of little bit, step by step by step by step. I'm easing you out of this club, but I know full well, and remember this, you are not good enough for Manchester United. You are on the way out. It won't be today or tomorrow, but it's happening and it is coming. It is your now inevitable. You are not staying here. And if he can have it his way and get rid of players, like in the same transfer window as to when he wants to get rid of them, then fantastic. He will snap your hand off. He will snatch your hand off. He'll say absolutely 100%. Thank you very much. Now we can go sign this player, and this player, and happy days. We'll be happy. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy campers. I mean, the fans won't be because the Glazers will still be here, but I suppose the Glazers are the enablers for bad, incompetent boards that have actually allowed for the politics to instill themselves that the way that they have. So problems there, and probably going to be more protests. And I hope there's going to be a massive, huge protest on the first game of the season. I'm sure there will be. I think the 1958 protest group have already laid out plans for that game. So it's coming from a very, very long way away. So the club can see it coming. Let's see what they decide to do with it. But fingers crossed the message continues and the trend continues, and the message still remains very crystal clear and consistent. Most importantly, consistency. And hopefully another thing as well is that more and more fans start to see the bigger picture with this and get on board and decide, well, actually, I'll stand in the same camp as these people to be Glazers out. Because the problem is that there's so many people who are Glazers out, but they're not Glazers out for the same reason. And it just feels like everyone wants the same thing, but they don't want the same thing at the same time. is a bit of a baffler, right? It's fan base contradiction, right? Everybody wants the best for the club. Everyone wants the best for the club, but nobody wants to do it the same way. Nobody does. Now, how that gets solved is beyond me. I have no idea how to solve that because I'm just one person. I'm just one person. I just watch my team play from time to time and give my thoughts and feelings and my verdict on what I see. I'm just sharing my thoughts and opinions. People will agree with them, people will disagree with them. People will say they love me, let me have your babies. Others will be, I absolutely hate this guy, let's ship him off to Rwanda. This bound to happen. Each to their own, I'd say, but at the end of the day, the message has got to be mutually understood by everyone from all different areas of the fan base, from local fans to Londoners to the foreign fans, whoever it is around the world, as long as the message is consistent and is unified, then you can't really go wrong with that. But as soon as we start to get all on the same page, the sooner we do that, the better. Um, let's have a little look through and see what else there is to talk about. Let's see what's going on here. So yeah, apparently it's Time Sports that said about Harry Maguire, saying he wants to play at a bigger club than West Ham. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Why does he like? He's so entitled. Like, it absolutely reeks of entitlement. So West Ham _ Central have stated this, right? MUFC want £30 million for Harry Maguire and 45 million for Scott McTominay. So Scott McTominay was 40 million. Now they want 45 million. So the prices are going up for some reason. MUFC want 30 million for Harry Maguire. So actually, this is a little bit more generous than the original asking prices were stated for Harry in the first place. We were talking £50 million. We were talking £35 million. Now we're talking £30 million. So that pricing is going down, but the Scott McTominay pricing is going up. Who knows what's happening? I've already stated that as far as I think Fred, what I'm expecting us to sell Fred for is probably about £12 million thereabouts. What I think as far as £35 million for Harry Maguire is, unless the club gets desperate, we probably won't see a bid for that level until later on in the window. I reckon that's probably going to happen later. I suppose the wages are probably going to be, again, a bigger stumbling block or a bigger factor in deciding how successful we are in the endeavours to sell Maguire. I think Scott McTominay is probably commanding a higher asking price just simply because of the fact that he's on next to no wages. The guy's literally earning, a couple tens of thousands of pounds every week. So pretty much every club in the top leagues around Europe can afford Scott McTominay as far as his wages are concerned. But the transfer fee, well, that's going to be the head scratcher. Now, whether West Ham decide to actually follow up on the interest in Harry Maguire by actually sticking in a proposal or a bid for Scott McTominay, I can only hope that we do that, or hope that they do that. That it is close to entertaining the asking price for Scott McTominay, because that's probably where the politics behind clubs lowballing transfer fees or transfer offers is to compensate for higher wages, because obviously wage structures, they don't want to upset the apple cart with. So if they can get a player on cheap who commands a high asking price, that's where the talking point, I think, is going to remain, as far as clubs coming in to lowball offers for players that we need to sell. It's like Eric Bailly. I don't know whereabouts he is with his transfer, because I think there was rumours of him going to Saudi Arabia as well. Probably the only place in the world at the moment that can technically afford anybody's wages, regardless of how good the player is. But Saudi Arabians will probably be a bit smarter about this. They won't say, oh, well, if the player's genuinely trash, we are not going to sign him, even if he gets paid a stupid amount of money, because at least we have brains. We have brains. So players like Harry Maguire probably, even if he was pitched to the Saudi Arabian market, probably wouldn't end up getting any bids. I mean, it wouldn't happen anyway because Maguire doesn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. He wants the big clubs. He essentially, I'll tell you what it is. Let's give it a good and accurate comparison. Harry Maguire essentially wants a FIFA transfer. Do you know when you start a career mode, right? And you have a look at the clubs or the other deals that other clubs do, right? If you don't select Man United, and you see Harry Maguire get a transfer to Barcelona or Real Madrid or something, and you're just like, I mean, it's FIFA, cool, but even then, I mean, the age profile, you wouldn't expect big clubs to be coded to actually go and make transfers for Harry Maguire in a game. I mean, fuck me, whether it ever happened in real life, even in a game, that's unrealistic. So, I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean, it's probably thinking like that. It's probably because, well, I'm able to get a transfer to every big club around Europe. I go to the Champions League winning club every time in FIFA career mode, so I should be able to do the same in real life. No, you can't. You can't do that. It's not possible. It's not real. The only club that you can go to where you can actually stand a chance at winning trophies is a championship club. Because at least then they might actually have a chance at winning the championship and winning the trophy there. Or what is it, the J Paint trophy or the Papa John's trophy? For the tournament exclusively, the knockout tournament exclusively for clubs in the champion or in the second division below. Maybe you have a chance there, but you ain't gonna have a chance at going to bigger clubs to win trophies there because, boy, you ain't won. You ain't started games, right? You haven't won games or played in consecutive games in a knockout competition where you've directly contributed to the team winning that trophy. You haven't done that yet. So this entitlement to think that you deserve a transfer to a big club. I mean, he finds new ways. He does find new ways. I'll give him this. He's very creative in finding new ways to let people know that he's not meant to be this likable character, right? This likable footballing character. Whatever he's like outside of football, I don't know because I've never met the guy. Never met what he's like outside of football as just a upfront personality. He could be a very nice guy, but the absolute arrogance that this guy has as a footballer, to think the way that he does just because he got a transfer move to Manchester United and costed 40 million pounds. Oh, 40. I wish it was, but 80 million pounds. When you get given a transfer fee like that, most people say, well, actually, that's pressure on the player. It's like when Anthony came in for a high transfer fee, people were talking about pressure on the player. It's like some people will question, will this player sink or swim with that sort of a transfer fee? Will they sink or swim? With Maguire, it's more the case of, well, he didn't sink because of because of the weight of the expectation that comes with a very commanding transfer fee, but he sunk with the arrogance that has actually poisoned his game. Because it's no coincidence that a guy that cares about football first can have these great clips of how good and how sturdy or how like how free he's playing, right? He's got a huge amount of freedom on a football pitch, like the clips of him at Hull City or Leicester City. And everyone's just like, well, actually, this guy looks really, really good when there's no pressure. But it's like, it's not the pressure of Manchester United that's doing that to him. He's not really feeling pressure. What it is that the arrogance that he has, where he's got so much money to burn out. So he's got a huge amount of money. I mean, 220 or 200, I think it was a 20%. Yeah. So if he's 200, so yeah, about 220 grand a week. So he's sitting there earning that amount of money. He's had the captaincy stripped off of him. He's essentially being told, well, you're fourth or fifth choice centre back at this club. You know, you can start looking, if you want game time, you can start looking everywhere that isn't Manchester United. And it's just the way that he's reacted to that. It's like he should be clawing for this West Ham move. He should be clawing for it, because I reckon he walks into West Ham and starts for them. He starts for them like that. He does. He will. He will start for West Ham at the snap of a finger. But it's whether that's it's whether that's what he wants. It's like, again, we're sat here with an English player talking about their aspirations. How much or how badly do they want to, further their career, to expand on where their career goes? I mean, West Ham, he's talking about, I want a bigger club than West Ham. I mean, fuck me, they've just won a European Cup. It wouldn't make any sense if you were to say, I want to go to Arsenal. Why? They haven't. West Ham have won a trophy before Arsenal. They're the more tuned to winning a trophy than Arsenal are. Make of that what you will. But they're more fine-tuned to win trophies than Arsenal, because they've recently won a trophy. So there you go. Go and be this leading figure in the backline of West Ham, and maybe you can push them to getting very far in the Europa League. Maybe you end up taking West Ham to a Europa League final. Maybe you do that. I mean, someone like Harry Maguire would never know, because he hasn't got the bollocks to actually go and try and make it happen, because he knows that he can't get back into the first team. So he's got one side of things having his PR set telling everybody, but he wants to fight for his place. But he knows fucking damn well that he can't get his place back, because everyone else is streets ahead of him for quality, for form, and for desire. There you go. That's the situation for Harry Maguire solved in an instant. So you can prove that you actually care about being a professional footballer by moving to West Ham, or you can prove everybody right by saying you're a lazy bastard, by sitting at Manchester United pleading to the PR that, oh well, I can fight for my place, I can get my first team place back. So you'll do that for the whole season long, but you'll be more than happy to sit there watching the games go by whilst you're earning 220k a week, not kicking a ball, doing absolutely nothing, because you're happy with that. You are happy with that, and that's it. That is it. That's why I think Manchester United, what I've said already about Manchester United, you should be challenging his ambitions. You should be making his stay on the bench very, very uncomfortable. You should be making him be knocking on the manager's door day after day. Please let me go, boss. Please let me go. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to go play football. I want to be in love with this game again. I want to go. I want a change of scenery. I know this club isn't for me anymore. Like, if you have to bully into him, right? And by the way, for anyone that's saying, well, why don't bully a player? It's bad for mental health and whatnot. Okay, they will read up on the stories of all of these other players that have been bullied. Like Cristiano Ronaldo was bullied by the senior players of the squad at the time and had the shit kicked out of him every time he stepped foot on a training ground. But look at what sort of a player he turned into. Look at where his mindset went from there. So, if you want the best out of Maguire, go and kick the living shit out of him every single training session. Bully him on the training pitches. Bully him. Bully the desire and the fight back into him. Because it's like words don't speak louder than actions. And that's the thing about football clubs is the clubs that are most wound up with PR are the ones that only talk the talks. They will never ever walk the walks. So the clubs like your Manchester United, like your Arsenals, like the Tottenham Hotspurs, they will talk a lot of talk, but they will never walk any walk. If it was up to them, they would be sitting in the back of a rickshaw, thriving off of the success of something else driving their club, right? They don't care. It's like the Glazers under Sir Alex Ferguson's managerial reign. They were thriving off of the success of that man, and that's it. They knew that once that guy's gone, whew, there's going to be a big dip. There's going to be a big drop off, and so there was. It's as simple as that. So, as far as Harry Maguire is concerned, literally, you either stand up or shut up, right? Stand up or shut up. Stand up, and start actually fighting for your place and looking like you deserve these places, or shut up and get out the club. Can't sit there in the grey zone and expect everything to come to you on silver platters. You can't. It's not room service. You don't get bed and breakfast here. It's not like that. You gotta go out there and actually get your money's worth. You're worth 220k a week. Most players that earn that are busy getting into the World 11s, collecting Champions Leagues for fun, winning the Premier Leagues for fun, winning multiple trophies every single season for fun, and winning all the individual awards that the league allocates to increase individual sporting acumen. But you don't do that. You don't do any of it. So there it is. For a player that earns 220k a week, look at the other names in world football that earn that sort of money. Look at their track records. Look at the clubs they're at. Look at what those clubs are doing. Look at where they're going. Happy days. Can't complain with that. And anyways, coming up to the hour mark there, and I'm going to wrap things up real quick. Didn't have anybody in to chat today, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. No stream is ever going to be the same, and this was probably going to be a slightly shorter one. So big ups to everybody that has tuned in, has dropped in to watch the stream. Appreciate all of those of you who have liked the content, but also for those of you who are subscribing, who haven't done so already. If you are new here and you'd like to see more of this content, then do make sure that you are smashing that big red button. Big ups to every single one of you, and that's it from me for now. There you are, Shazam. I was here just following. Yes, you're more the sort of lurking viewer, but it's a viewership number nonetheless, and even with that sort of support, it is massively appreciated. So whatever it is people choose to do, obviously it's just a little bit of a shame when there's not a massive amount of interaction for me, but that's just me. Sometimes I do like to chat about all sorts of different things with the viewers, but we covered all the subjects that I wanted to talk about today. All the thoughts and feelings that I had, I've got off of my chest now. So, I mean, I'm satisfied. I am satisfied now. But hopefully the viewers are also satisfied. But yes, but big ups to you anyways, Sam. And you're probably one of the two people that had actually liked the stream as well. So again, double big ups to you, I guess. But yes, shout out to everybody there in the chat, but also for those of you who will watch this on playback as well. When you watch it at a later date, let's shout out to you guys as well. Everybody who pumps this channel up the algorithm is the real MVPs. But that is it from me for today. You all go and have yourself a fantastic Saturday afternoon. I think the Formula One is probably going on right now. It's probably nearing the end. Perhaps there's probably some pre-season friendly games going on. Whatever it is you choose to do, enjoy it, have plenty of fun, and have a sick Sunday as well, because I think I'll probably do a stream for tomorrow. Might be later on in the day, just judging of what I probably have planned going on over here. So you might not see me until later on Sunday, but you have yourself a blessed Saturday and Sunday, and we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.